You're listening to The World at 8 with Lynn Mozart. The World at 8, the number one in nationalist news.
Highlights of the news today, the 22nd of February. Labour Party has suspended one of its councillors. Downing Street hosting a Racism in Football summit today. 80% of children born in London today are to foreign parents. 40 asylum seekers get £1 million in compensation. Huge protests in Greece expected by government. Teenager wins compensation for being non-Chinese. And thought for the day. UK news. The Labour Party has suspended one of its councillors for alleged inappropriate comments at the hearing of a 9-year-old child who said she was raped by a care worker. At the hearing, Labour Party Strathclyde councillor William O'Rourke asked a policewoman, was force used on the child? The policewoman replied, no. O'Rourke then commented, so she wanted it to happen then. The Labour councillor was then informed that, and I quote, children are not old enough to consent to sex. Even though Strathclyde Police sacked him from his job in their police authority plus the other 2 jobs he held with the council-run businesses, the Labour Party have only suspended him. He could be back within 18 months, one source has said. One BNP spokesperson added, this person should have been sacked. The police sacked him, but I cannot understand why Labour has kept him on. Last month, Darlington Labour councillor Mark Burton was convicted of molestation of a schoolgirl and downloading hardcore child porn images and awaits sentence. Other sources have claimed that Burton is one of the over 25 convicted Labour Party paedophiles on an internet awareness campaign called Labour 25. Downing Street is hosting a Racism in Football summit today. It has been revealed. High-profile footballers and other groups will be at the meeting to address the current situation, as it has been put. The summit is being called by Dave Cameron. One spokesperson added, Culture Secretary Jeremy Hunt will also be there to warn about the dangers of not being multicultural enough on the pitch. This ridiculous meeting will obviously help keep him and other useless articles in very well-paid jobs. An official report out today shows that 80% of all babies born in parts of London are to foreign parents. This official report shows that Marxist left-wing powers that be have their plot to destroy the indigenous people of Britain well underway. At the expense of the British taxpayer, the Home Office has just paid £1 million in compensation to 40 asylum seekers who were detained as adults when they were in fact children. The Home Office has also had to cover another £1 million in court costs. One spokesperson said, if you work it out, £1 million between 40 asylum seekers is a very big share out when you come to the UK with nothing. A Birmingham teenager, David O'Neill, won a race discrimination case after fighting a year-long battle involving the Ocean Dragon restaurant, which is situated in Birmingham's Chinese Quarter. The 19-year-old has successfully sued the restaurant after the new Chinese manager drastically cut his hours and gave his shifts to Chinese workers. O'Neill, who is a first-year law student at Staffordshire University, represented himself and was awarded a total £5,322.89 compensation, of which he has yet to receive 1 penny. If this amount is not forthcoming, an appointed bailiff will be sent to recover monies from that restaurant. David was employed when the previous manager, who was white, was in place. It was his first job in May 2010 as a part-time waiter. In October of that year, a new Chinese manager was appointed and David's hours were cut along with other white members of staff, and indeed so drastic was the cutting that David had no hours after November of that year. He appealed to the manager, but she was quoted as saying there were no hours available. Euro news. Greece is expecting its biggest protest up to now after the agreement by the EU to bail out the country. Greece was once very prosperous before joining the Eurozone. Police and security forces are on standby before clashes with the Greek public over more austerity measures to ensure the €130 billion bailout. In a crackdown on tax evasion in Italy, ministers are having to put their salaries from what they earn and also any other assets onto the internet. This tax evasion crackdown is being done to show honesty, transparency and boost faith in the ministers to the Italian people. World news. Trouble has flared up at a United States airbase in Afghanistan. The airbase, which is situated near Kabul, has seen heavy protests over Koran burning. Protesters came under heavy fire during the protests, leaving 10 Afghan protesters seriously injured. An opposition group opposing Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has claimed that 27 of its protesters were killed by security and militia loyal to the president in an attack on small villages in dawn raids. The men are claimed to be all less than 30 years old and were killed in northern Syria. Thought for the day. My apologies to a mythical Norman Parkinson in my Monday thought. Of course I meant Michael Parkinson, who has a face like a bag of frozen testicles. See, I must be senile already. A small thought on the apology given by a senior US Army person to protesters in Afghanistan over the Koran burning. Shocked though you might be, I am with the protesters here. After all, the Americans, or indeed we, should not be there in the first place. And I feel that although I am 100% against any form of Muslim protest in our country, they are after all in their own country and have the rights of their religion and people behind them. Although the basis of our being there is supposedly to win hearts and minds, they do have an oil pipeline, so that, of course, is the real reason for the West invading. I say pull out immediately. Make some financial stake in the pipeline suitable to the Afghani government and just leave. The Russians could not conquer these people. The Americans and we have failed, as indeed we failed during the early 19th century. Just leave them alone. If the Taliban take over, it is the will of the indigenous people of that country, and like the Middle East, leave them be. We need to concentrate on the multicultural hellhole being created in our own country and listen to the needs of our own people, not interfere in other lands. And finally, if you fancy a trip to France this year in your car with the family, whether it is Normandy, Paris or Nice, you may have to take something in the boot of your car with you. Sources say that in addition to having all the necessities to mend a puncture, you will also have to take your very own breathalyzer kit. This is the result of an attempt to cut spending by the road and traffic police in France, so very happy motoring to you all. You have been listening to The World at 8. I am Lynn Mozart, and I wish you all a very good night. If you have any comments on this newscast or any previous ones, please write in. Thank you. Goodbye.